Come on! Come here! Come on, Fit! You!
How's your father's project coming along?
I think he's almost done. Yeah, he's done.
Wow, this one's a mess. A whole load of great and terrible ideas but thrown haphazardly together in a meandering plot with an incomprehensible number of characters. It honestly feels like it was written by 3 different writers. A genius who was writing a tongue-in-cheek satire, an idiot who thought he was writing an epic tale of political intrigue, and then some guy who wanted as many boobs as humanly possible. All 3 scripts were then mashed together without rhyme or reason. Either that or it's written by a guy who has absolutely zero attention span. You know, the kind of guy who would punt his laptop out a window if it took a bit longer to start up. To show you what I mean, I'm going to take some paracetamols to endure the headache I'll receive by detailing the plot. In the real world, a rich girl is finding it hard returning to her school after a traumatic thing happened to her family. She bumps into a nonchalant guy who's uniquely the only one who pays her no mind. Later that day, she's kidnapped, but is saved by a masked guy wielding 2 crowbars. Why crowbars, you ask?
If questioned, we are sewage workers on our way to a conference.
She returns to school, and as the guy states her name, it feels like the 2 of them will hook up, perhaps leading to a long-term heartwarming, so he throws himself in front of a van. Now in a fantasy world, he creates a dull background persona, while secretly being an all-powerful dramatic vigilante. During his massacre of some bandits, he finds a blob thing. Using magic, he restores it back to the elf girl it used to be, and seeing a random bottle, makes up a sinister conspiracy about how the cult of Diablos secretly controls the world, and were the ones who caused the curse. This all turns out to be true. Anyway, she pledges her life to him and they go around rescuing a whole bunch more women from their blobby existence and recruit them into their Shadow Garden organization. Shadow's sister is then kidnapped.
Oh, how awful.
They find and rescue her with ease, after which the women go off searching for the cult, which our hero thinks is merely them acting. Moving on to episode 3.
Comrade Premier, it has only begun.
Shadow goes to school and in trying to be the unnoticed background character asks the princess out, hoping to be rejected, but is unexpectedly accepted. She does it to get her fiancé off her back and he agrees simply because
money!
Then it ends with her getting kidnapped.
Oh, how awful.
During Shadow Garden's rescue, a monster's released, beaten easily, and Shadow boastfully kills the evil fiancé by nuking a huge portion of the city. So moving on, our hero dumps a woman and goes shopping for a special item from his own world.
Chocolate!
Arriving there, he discovers Delta Foxtrot Echo? One of the blob women has set up a massive conglomerate using ideas he offhandedly explained to her, amassing ungodly amounts of money.
How?
How did I do that?
Anyway, he sneaks away from his friends to kill a couple hooded figures calling themselves Shadow Garden. School tournament time! His background identity enters, intentionally gets beaten up, and now the focus is on this pink-haired girl. She falls head over heels for his background persona after he lazily gave her chocolates, and she even asked the princess for advice. Now I understand. The anime is moving on to a misunderstandings, wacky comedy, with love triangles. So the terrorists take over the school, tons of kids are killed and the rest are brought to the school gymnasium. Pink-haired girl badly tries to sneak away through the school, while our hero kills all the terrorists in her way.
I love this game!
They disarm the bomb the terrorists were going to use, and Shadow kills their boss, who is revealed is pink-haired girl's dad. Also in a flashback, it's shown he had killed her mother in front of her, and she somehow missed who had done it.
You missed! How could you miss? He was 3 feet in front of you!
Anyway, she disappears entirely from the plot, and with all that action and comedy out the way, it's time for...
Boobies! Buttocks!
Fan service.
half an episode where this one uses magic goo to pad her boobs, boob shots, bum shots, and these 2 buying erotic thongs. Oh yes, I really enjoyed this over the action and comedy.
Excuse me, is this Sarcasm 101?
No, it's Lamar's class from Men Named Arthur.
Anyway, our hero travels to a religious place where the head priest was murdered, and there's another tournament coming up. So after some hot springs where Shadow spanks his own balls, the tournament begins. Shadow enters it, calls forth a powerful opponent, beats her easily, and enters the secret magical cult lab thing with a bunch of his blob girls. This place is revealed to be the origin of their curse, and where the cult leaders get their immortality from the detached arm of the demon lord. Anyway, Shadow meets the woman he easily beat, and they wander through her memories, fighting zombies and killing versions of herself, before he easily kills 100 versions of the ancient hero, and then nukes the place. These 3 have an alliance, then these 2 talk politics in a sauna, and a new tournament begins.
Bury this madness!
Shadow disguises himself as Mundane Man to secretly participate, so he can dramatically win the tournament before everyone's shocked eyes. While that's happening, the king is drugged dumb by this guy, and the other princess tries to kill him and goes into hiding. Oh yeah, and that alliance is over now.
Well, that didn't take long.
Anyway, as Shadow humiliates other princess tearfully kills the drugged king and then tries to kill herself. Shadow stops her and toys around with this random elf lady and other princess through the city, all with his mighty crowbars.
It's like poetry, sort of, they rhyme.
Once he easily beats them, other princess threatens him and he maniacally laughs, showing how he could just blow up the entire kingdom if he wants.
It's very on brand for you.
The anime then ends with other princess joining Shadow Garden as the 666th member. As I said, a complete haphazard mess of both great and terrible ideas. Having a non-superpowered vigilante fighting men with guns is a great idea. Having a protagonist pretend to be mundane while secretly being a dramatic villain/hero is also a great idea. Having a web of conflicts between nobles, priests, cult leaders and different kingdoms is a great idea. Having 3 tournaments with exactly the same concept is well, it was a choice.
Yeah, bad one.
And having the cult actually be real is a terrible idea, as it lessens the fun of the girls valiantly searching for an enemy that doesn't exist, while nullifying the satirical point the anime is trying to be. Also, having hundreds of disposable characters that easily blur together and throwing fan service into a show that didn't have it before are both terrible ideas. Blending all these ideas together really creates quite the rollercoaster of enjoyment. One moment he's hilariously killing mass terrorists to the beat of the music as pink-haired girl obliviously wanders around. The next she's crying over a dead father. This tonal mismatch is throughout the entire show. The terrible experiments and deep history of the cult are alongside Shadow cracking jokes with this lady. The other princess tearfully putting her father out of misery is right alongside her joyfully saying stylish bandit slayer in front of perverse hat. Or even the final battle around the city has buildings explode with people screaming.
How am I supposed to feel after that?
Honestly though, the biggest misstep the anime makes was having the protagonist be super powerful, or indeed a person with any kind of power at all. Imagine if it were rewritten so our hero has 0 magical ability, and instead has to use his wit and cunning in this fantasy world to portray this overly dramatic character. On the surface trying to pretend to be this really powerful force, but in actuality is an averagely built guy who has to rely on trickery to succeed, while inadvertently drawing more attention and danger for himself.
Now remember, Captain Shakespeare has a fearsome reputation.
Also rewrite him so he dies in a fight he could have won or a comedic isekai way, not via insane suicide. Not only would all this lead to funnier scenes, it would really invest the audience into his character. Then you could play around with the protagonist fighting a non-existent enemy and recruiting an ensemble of characters.
女の子ばかりですね。
偶然だよ、偶然。
そうは思えませんが。
偶然だって。
As it stands, not a single one of them can be rooted for, let alone related to. But before I talk about them, here's a counter for all the girls who love Shadow unconditionally, while I speak about the supporting cast. In this show, every character is entirely functional. The 2 friends were only there to serve 3 jokes, only one of which was an eye-rollingly predictable. The 3 princesses are shown to have their own struggles and ambitions, but their screen time is so limited we can't explore them, and the tone is so balked I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. Same for the pink-haired one. Then there's the members of Shadow Garden, who are so numerous whenever someone name-dropped one other than Alpha, I would always be like,
who?
Their constant stoic attitude means they aren't funny, their sheer power, wealth and influence so gargantuan there's never any danger, and their goals all boil down to doing whatever Shadow wants to do. Suppose that brings me on to him, the real draw of the show. The concept is pretty self-explanatory. In the daytime, he plays an uninteresting background character, so he can have as much fun playing as the all-powerful Shadow. Precisely what the audience came for here is the sheer joy and over-the-topness he does, both setting up and performing. Shadow arranging his furniture for the perfect ambiance, or him nicking a grand piano to perform it ominously in the sewers, is exactly what we came here for.
Oh, you're a villain, all right. Just not a super one.
Yeah? What's the difference?
Presentation!
I just wish we had more of it. Those 2 examples are the only real times he does this. All other times he's monologuing to himself, showing off his supreme power or pretending to be nobody. And the rest of the time when he's not on screen, the anime's trying to be taken seriously with the rest of the cast.
That's not why we're here.
Thinking about it more, those scenes could have been funnier if they didn't go as planned. Imagine if the girl entered through the other window and they both had to awkwardly stare at each other as they talked. Or what if we were shown him painstakingly dragging the piano to the sewers?
Alright, you know what? Lift it up tall ways. Okay? Oh, for Christ. Oh, it's wedged. It's wedged. Alright.
With just a little refocus, these scenes would be outstanding. I suppose that encapsulates the entire show. Centralise the focus around Shadow's setup and performance, lower his power considerably, throw away many of the supporting roles as possible, and make the tone considerably lighter, then it would be an outstanding anime worthy of any recommendation. As it stands, there are pieces of Shadow at Eminence that I enjoyed, but many others that were dull, tonal disasters or outright irritating. Essentially, a great concept with fun ideas done haphazardly wrong. And now, a little montage of what we saw.
More power.
我が名はシャドウ。そこだ。え？え？はい。やっぱりかっこいいからだよ。やあ。
やあ。
これで私たちは仲間よ。力ずくで聞かせてもらう。代理種盗賊スレイヤーさん。
え。屋上から華麗に飛び降りる僕。やりたいことに